Welcome, everyone. Good evening. And yeah, if you're here for AI Tinkerers, you're in the right place. And if you're new to AI Tinkerers, we are a study group outside college. We do technical demos. And I'll talk more about us after the talk. But this particular event is sponsored by Google Cloud. So thank you, Google Cloud. And our first speaker is also from Google Cloud. So his name is Andrew Smith. And he can tell a little bit about himself and then get started on the presentation.
Awesome. Hey, y'all. My name is Andrew Smith, and I'm a customer engineer for startups at Google Cloud. So I kind of like to say I have the best job in the world. I help startups get started with our tech. I help architects build out their solutions, make sure that they have a good developer experience with Google. I also build demos and proofs of concept and showcase those to our customers. So briefly on Google's kind of agentic stack. So just so we have a same definition of an AI agent, it's a system that uses a model, so large language model, to reason about and select the appropriate tools to achieve a goal. And here's kind of generally what they look like. So you've got some kind of orchestration system. In Google's preferred stack, that would be the Agent Development Kit, or ADK. Handles user profile information, state information about kind of what has been said so far, the responses of any tool calls, and also memory information. It reaches out to tools. I kind of think of those as the arms of the operation to go perform actions in systems, get information from systems in order to answer the user's question. And then it kind of uses those large language models as the brain to reason about, plan, and then execute all those steps. So here's kind of Google's agent builder, quote unquote, set of frameworks. At the very top, we have Agent Development Kit. Again, that handles all the orchestration. We link to tools with MCP, or you could kind of connect tools directly within ADK. We have a runtime for your agents called Vertex AI Agent Engine, just a Python runtime. It'll handle all the auto-scaling up and down, persistent session storage, persistent memory storage for your applications. And then for communicating between different agents, be those different ones that you've built or different external ones, we have the A-to-A protocol. And then kind of at a large business level, this is mostly kind of larger businesses and enterprise, we have what we call Gemini Enterprise. That's kind of a UI layer for surfacing agents that you've built or kind of creating agents in natural language for your users. So one of the agents that we kind of have on offer, Gemini CLI is a coding agent, lives right in your terminal. So it's a context-aware. It'll read in your files and kind of use that to guide development. Just natural language agent that you can use to build applications. So it's not just a chatbot in the terminal. It's a really purpose-built utility to integrate with the way you work, with deep knowledge of your local file system. And also kind of the Gemini app is an agent. So this is gemini.google.com. This is the kind of just chat UI that we have, or the Gemini app on your phone. It's an agent in of itself. It's connecting out to the various tools to do searches and answer your questions. So again, inside of this orchestration layer is where ADK comes in. So Agent Development Kit is our framework for building out either single or multi-agent applications. It's got a really great local developer UI and leads with, you can kind of integrate and interleave deterministic logic with LLM logic here. At a high level, this is how you instantiate an agent in ADK. Very, very simple. You select your model, you give it a name, and you give it some instructions. Here's kind of a very simple ADK tool that's just hard coding, showing different responses. We wrap it in kind of a tool library that's built into the SDK. And then here's how we pass it over to the model. So we'll give it a list of tools containing all of our various tools. And here's what it looks like. Here's what a very simple kind of ADK agent with an external MCP server looks like. So in this case, my MCP server is just a Python file, but you could change up the connection settings and connect it to something on the web as well. One of the huge things that we offer is the Vertex AI agent engine. And what that does is it connects into ADK or whatever framework you're using and really integrates deeply with it. So it'll handle things like storing sessions. By default, ADK does everything in memory, which is great for your local development, but not great for applications in production. So what this does is you're able to, instead of using the in-memory service here, change that out to, say, the Vertex AI memory bank service, which would connect to a database in the cloud. I'm sorry, session service in that case. We can also connect to any kind of database that you might already have set up. We also have a concept in ADK called memory. This can be set up to kind of build off of all your different conversations and store them, and then go and retrieve them. This can also be done in memory or connected to a backend service. It also has a ton of built-in things for evaluation. So one evaluation that I have set up here is kind of order of and trajectory. So we can say, I expect it to go call this tool and then do this, and then do this, and then do this, and then produce a response to the user. It has all of this kind of evaluation stuff built into it. One other kind of high-level thing I want to touch on is A to A. So the agent-to-agent protocol allows for communication between various agents. It's an open-source protocol that Google developed. This can be great in multiple different situations. You might choose to build out a multi-agent application where you control all of the agents. They have different system instructions, access to different tools, and it allows them to be more aligned to a specific task. So you might get better results doing that. Another really great situation would be where you have some kind of organizational or technological boundary between two entities. One kind of great example of this is like SAP, for instance, has some pre-built agents or agents inside of their platform. You can use the A to A protocol to hand off to the SAP agent to go do a data lookup, go get information, go perform an activity inside of a system that you don't fully control or just haven't built your own integration to. So A to A handles the discovery, negotiation of how they communicate, task and state management, and ultimately the collaboration between multiple agents. They'll kind of expose each other. They'll expose what capabilities they have through an agent card. So this is an example of one of those agent cards. Basically says, hey, this is who I am. These are the things that I do. This is how I talk. And then ideally, they'll stream kind of communication and have real-time updates over SSE. You can also kind of do polling and kind of wait for updates that way. One new model and feature that we recently announced is Gemini 2.5 computer use. So this is a specially trained Gemini model. Eventually, we hope to our plan is to wrap this into 3.0 as just a tool that's available instead of being its own model. That allows that you input either a video stream or images of a computer screen, and then the model will output instructions on what to do. So click here at these coordinates, for instance, in order to achieve a task. It's performing super, super well on benchmarks compared to its brethren, and it's also performing really well in terms of accuracy and latency. So if you haven't gotten a chance to test that out, I highly recommend it. Skip a few of these. Or the slide can just not load. That works too. There we go. The computer use model? My understanding, I don't have that in my deck. It's very competitive, kind of compared to its brethren, but it is still in pre-GA right now. You should see kind of more specific pricing on that once it is rolled into the model and is kind of generally available versus being in preview. Google Cloud also has a whole host of generative media offerings. Our kind of flagship video model, VO3, is really fantastic at creating really good realism and really good, really high fidelity images and videos. It also produces audio kind of in sync with that. And I lost my deck. That's fine. Let's do that. We also have our Imagine family of models. So these are for image generation. They're really fantastic for going out and creating images really fast. You can also feed those into VO3 as kind of different assets, different characters that you want to be in your video. I'll just skip this for now. I want to talk a little bit about the Google for Startups program. So we are a program that helps startups kind of build with Google Cloud. We have funding, we have credit funding options, as well as support for people in all stages of their startup journey. Whether you're bootstrapped and just getting started, or you're VC backed, we kind of have a tier of our program for you. We have financial support in terms of cloud credits. You'll get kind of assigned to a startup success manager to help you navigate some of the business aspects of running a startup, and you'll also get kind of technical advice, access to workshops run by people like me. And there's also a whole community in co-marketing set up there as well. So if you're interested in the Google for Startups program, or if you want to connect with me afterwards in Chat Gemini, feel free to scan this QR code here. That'll kind of take you to where you can decide to connect with me or kind of reach out for more information about the Google for Startups program. This is an old version of the deck. I guess those call to actions got taken out. That's fine. There's also some great resources on our GitHub. If you go to goo.goal/ADK, or if you go to goo.goal/GenAI GitHub, those are kind of the best starting places for getting started with Google Cloud and with kind of Google's AI stack. There's so much stuff that I could talk about, but I'm going to shut up so you can kind of see some real demos of things that people have actually built. Thank you all so much for being here. We love kind of getting to come out and be in the ecosystem, and really appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, I'll be here for networking afterwards.
Two questions. If you have anything for ADK, yeah, or Google in general.
So much fun.
General questions, so I don't know. About video, one of the challenges that I've found in working with Gen AI video is keeping the characters the same. Oh, that was my question. So there you go.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is a challenge. If you're feeding those in as kind of, we found that feeding in kind of images as a part of your prompt can help a ton versus kind of just doing detailed descriptions. Repetition in your prompt also helps a lot if you're kind of looking for a certain look or certain characterization of your character. Our models tend to respond pretty well to that. The more detail you can give in your prompt, the better output you're going to get. And that also includes kind of more detail in terms of the image inputs that you're providing as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How often are the kind of image and video models updated? It seems like from one day to the next, the images can be working really well, and then the next day they fail to generate a lot of prompts. Are there any like top tips for prompting, and if it's saying it can't, do certain things, are there workarounds for that?
I guess there's a couple of things on that. I mean, when you say it can't do certain things, are you referring to are you hitting up against safety guardrails, or?
I'm not sure. So, maybe sometimes, not like safety, but it thinks that you're triggering, as you say, maybe unsafe requests. But sometimes it can just be from one day to the next. One day it will generate the same prompt that it won't have generated the day before or the day after. So I don't know. I assume it was something in terms of the model and the learnings being updated and things, but it's sometimes quite weird. It can be quite hit and miss from day to day.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have noticed kind of in my personal experimentation that based off of server load, you might get different generations based off of the time of day and kind of how busy things are. You will also find that there are minor differences between calling for generations from the AI Studio SDK or AI Studio kind of framework versus calling from inside of the Vertex AI service inside of Google Cloud. The Vertex AI service has a few extra safety layers because it's kind of designed to be used at scale with enterprises. So you might find that to be a little bit more consistent. The underlying models aren't changing day to day. So, I mean, there's some experimentation that goes on, but generally it's released as a separate model that would have a different kind of unique name or kind of have that preview designation. I will say, if you're working with VO3 specifically, it is a preview model. It's still officially considered a preview model. So those preview models don't have quite the same guarantees in terms of output consistency as our generally available models.
And would Nano Banana fall under that same category as a preview model, or that's launched?
I don't recall the status of Nano Banana.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's all right. It's probably getting a bit granular for everyone else, but I just thought maybe it's interesting in terms of, I don't know, the regulations and the guardrails and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's the takeaway for.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you will also see, like, in API calls or AI Studio surfaces versus like the Gemini web app surface, you're going to get different responses. Like, I find that there's much better code generation results if I'm calling from, say, AI Studio or via an API call instead of using just like the consumer Gemini app, because they're optimized for different things, right? The consumer app is really optimized for just conversational back and forth, dealing with like a general user persona, versus AI Studio, you have full control over those system instructions. You can define yourself as a developer. They're not hyper optimizing for any specific persona.
Yeah, of course. All right, thank you so much, man. Appreciate the presentation.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
With the image and video diffusion models, do you expose an interface to be able to do parameter efficient fine tuning, or is it all
Not
need to
at
be
this
done?
time.
Okay. Is there any way? Is there a way to embed likeness or something like that into a prompt, similar to maybe IP adapter? Or?
So you can kind of provide image context as part of those. So that's the best answer we have right now.
Non-text based image context.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so like one of the preferred workflows that we have is go generate some images in Imagine, and then take those and do video generation with VO, for instance. That way, it really cuts down on your inference costs, because video generation is much more expensive than image generation. So you can really kind of fine tune your prompts on the image models, then take those over to video.
Right, but for image generation, can I say?
You can also provide images as part of prompts for image generation.
All right. Given a round of applause. And do we have other speakers here? Yeah. So we can get set up.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. This is Juniper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the one about like managing like 200 plus tools in a database and how to do those.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a demo about Juniper, and also like how to use agent orchestration, progressive disclosure, and data caching by Cameron. So please tell a little bit about yourself, and you can get started.
Hey everyone, I'm Cameron. I have an AI wellness app called Juniper, and I also do custom AI products for small to medium businesses. And I just wanted to go through the multi-agent orchestration, custom orchestration that I did behind this app, this consumer app that I've built. So I'm going to start a demo query. I'm going to show some code that I'm going to later open source and give you the QR codes for. I'm going to talk about a concept called progressive disclosure, which was used by Anthropic recently in their skills article that they published, and quickly preview the developer interface that I built for this, and then give you the links and the QR codes. And I believe there'll be some time for questions afterwards. So about Juniper. Juniper is a user-facing multi-agent system. It's available on iOS, Android, and the web that helps people manage their lives, especially their health and wellness. And I think the health and wellness track is where I'm going to go for the most part, or focus on. in the future, but right now it integrates with a lot of things. Integrates with your Oura Ring, if anyone has one of those. I've noticed a lot of people have those. Your Apple Watch, so the Apple Health in the Apple ecosystem, Gmail, Notion. It has 5 agents. It has an orchestrator agent, that's the chat agent. And it has the wellness agent, which handles all of your wellness queries. The search agent, which is mostly just web search. It's actually not an agent, it's just a tool. And then the retrieval agent, which handles more complex retrieval tasks. And then the integrations agent, which I'll focus on the most, which has access to 200 plus tools across 15 plus services in the database. And I'm going to talk about how we manage that. So I'm going to demo real quick. How was my sleep last night in the dev server? And we'll come back to that, see what it says. So just a few code examples, and I'll see if I can. No? I just messed it up. Okay. It might be hard to see the code, but I decided to do modular system prompts for the agents. Just allowed for a lot more flexibility. So you can see there's a base prompt, and this is all Python, a place to add context, and then a response template. I thought I included the prompt template here, but this image over here on the right is a screenshot from the developer interface. You can see that the agent outputs a thought or a thought action pair or a thought response pair. And this is in JSON. I've realized that LLMs speak JSON. They don't speak new lines quite as well. Let me see if I added that in here. I didn't. For a long time, the LLMs were just outputting like thought actions, responses, separated by new lines, and that was unparsable for anything but Claude. Well, unproducible by anything but Claude. Claude was the only one that could produce that. I switched to JSON, and then all the other models, Gemini, GPT models, started to work. So that was an interesting lesson. And I initially built the developer interface just so I could see the full system prompt, because since the system prompts were created modularly, there was nowhere in the code where I could actually see the full system prompt. So that was the original reason why I built the developer interface, and then kind of expanded from there. Request level caching. So I was realizing that the agents were fetching information from services like Notion or Google Docs, and it would be a large piece of text, and they'd have to regurgitate that information, pass it to another agent, and then they'd have to regurgitate it again. So I decided to implement a request level cache. And you can see here the prompt that is automatically appended to every agent's system prompt. When your response to another agent includes cache data, include the cache key rather than the content itself. All agents have the fetch from cache tool. So that was just one little kind of solution to that regurgitation problem. And that's that implementation is in the repo that I'm going to show. I also implemented provider level KV caching. So I didn't know this until relatively recently, but providers like Anthropic allow you to cache prompts with them. So if you ever open up the developer console, you see the cache prompts usage. That's what that is. They basically cache the attention weights, the key value pairs of the attention weights between the different tokens in the prompt. And when you use that service and you get a cache hit, it reduces 85%, reduces the cost by 85% and latency by 90% on those cached prompts. And there's like a 5-minute option and a 1-hour option. And I think they're expanding that to, at least Anthropic's expanding that to enterprise level soon, so you can just basically have system prompts kind of stored in Anthropic, and they can just use those. They can reuse that in their cache, and it's going to really help costs for people pinging their API very often. And another cool thing that you can do with custom orchestration that I'm not sure you can do with different agents SDKs. I personally have not used an agents SDK because I think every time I kind of look behind the curtain on one of them, the prompts just look kind of terrible. So I just do my own kind of custom orchestration, and I imagine there are a lot of things that you can do here with custom orchestration you can't with agents SDKs. But one of those things is basically passing the LLM input, just passing it along without having to produce new tokens. So I was noticing that the agents that did not have access to the user were trying to talk directly to the user. So I just basically added this little heuristic to allow the chat agent to directly pass the input string to the user. So in my system, the action result is called an observation. So I basically had to give this prompt to the chat agent. The other agents cannot directly communicate with the human user. However, if they write a satisfactory response, just use this observation $$ tag, maintain JSON format, and that just passes the string along as an object. Okay, so this is where that slide was. Yeah, LM speak JSON. This is what the base response template looks like. It's either producing a thought and an action, or a thought and a response. Yeah, JSON works. I've also seen good agents use like XML tags, but anything but new lines. And just a couple random like LLM behavior lessons. They really do take on the style and tone of their system prompt and context. I've noticed I've been able to steer a lot of like tone and style just by providing certain context, and then hamburger method, putting like very important instructions at the beginning of the system prompt and at the end, and the last instruction carrying a ton of weight. What I've actually noticed is because I wrote a lot of the system prompts and some of like the added context, that the LLM kind of sounds like me, which is kind of scary when it outputs. And just real quick on context engineering, I think that term has been around maybe just a couple months now. Chroma likes to use it a lot. And it's just basically the idea that as context input context length increases, performance decreases, no matter the model. And it will probably be that way for the foreseeable future. So minimizing context is always very, very important for model performance, and obviously reducing input token costs. And I don't want to rant about MCP. I don't love the term, but it might be to me it might be a misnomer. From what I've seen, there's not much of a protocol, unless there have been some new developments. It just kind of seems like it's a way to throw all the endpoints of a service at your agent every call. For me, I like to think about progressive disclosure, so don't throw everything at once. Maybe just throw some definitions and names first, and then let the agent pick one, and then get the entire tool definition for that. And that's kind of what I did here. So the integrations agent has access to a ton of tools. You don't want to load all that into context at once. So it fetches the metadata for all the tools of a service, and then it fetches the full tool definition for one tool, and then it uses a tool. And when there's common tool workflows, I like to just specify that in the instructions, like make sure you use this one first, then this one, then this one. And we're going to get to the demo here in a second. So these are actually all the tools, the 4 of the 5 that the integrations agent has access to. This is what they look like. And you can see there are like these handlers to handle like system data, like the user ID and like the Supabase like client instance and all that stuff. And here you can see for the initial metadata fetch for the integrations agent, it has to specify it specifies the service name. So then that's when it fetches just the names and descriptions of the tools for that service. So that's very easily handled. And one thing that was maybe slightly overkill, but it was scalable, was I added a classification step. So just real quick, I don't think you can even see it on that slide, but basically I passed I used a lightweight LLM to basically guess which service the user was, the agent was going to need from the user. So it picked from the user's integrated services and then passed that to the agent so that the agent didn't have to figure out which service to use, like as far as Microsoft Outlook or Gmail. And that was going to become necessary if my system got to like over 100 integrations. Here's an example of one of the 200 tools that are in the database. And I just created a little upsert script so that you can run it and all of them would just upsert into the database. And let's see what happened with the, with the demo. So I asked it, how was my sleep last night? It said 69 out of 100. I thought I slept better than that. Let's see, sleep measure recorded from last night. But we got good output. So let's actually see what that looked like in the developer interface. Let's see if I can. So this is the developer interface I kind of built for this project, just so I could see what the agents were doing. You can see I asked it, how was my sleep last night? Here you can see the semantic search results. So these are some resources I added. I told it that I wanted to get more consistent sleep and that I want to go to bed earlier. And I also told it at some point that what my age was. So it just picked up those top two.
Does that come from like a RAG database or something?
Yeah.
Or like a vector database?
Yes, Supabase has a really good like built-in semantic search service, PG Vector. Yeah. So this is the full chat agent system prompt that once everything's put together, you can see like the main instruction at the top. You can see the response template that all the agents get. You can see its available tools. And notice we've got a cached area up here and an uncached area down here. That's the stuff that's cached at the provider level with Anthropic. So all this stuff at the top here is static, so it can be cached and reused. Stuff down here is dynamic, like the current date and time, the resources that come up from semantic search. I could probably put these instructions into the static part, but yeah, and then you can see the thoughts. The user is asking about their sleep data. I should call the integrations agent, and here it calls the integrations agent. And here you can see the integration, the full integrations agent system prompt. Same static content, and here's the dynamic content. So yeah, it goes down, and then it calls the right tools. It grabs the all the just metadata for the Aura service, along with some resources. It gets all the available service tools, and then it picks the right one. It picked the Aura Get Daily Sleep. It executes that tool and creates a response. And again, the agent struggled to realize that they don't have direct access to the human user. So this is where that action result heuristic comes in. It produced a response that was good. So the chat agent just output the action result tag to just pass that string directly to the user. So, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed seeing a little bit of what I've been working on. The full, like all the logic for all that code is in my GitHub. So all the prompt templates, response parsing, the caching, examples, agents, all that is in my GitHub. And the developer interface that goes along with that orchestration is also open sourced in my GitHub. And you can use this QR code to go to it. And yeah, website's there, Twitter, X is there. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah, that's an amazing presentation. Thank you. It's really cool. Any questions? Yeah.
I'm fairly new to AI, so I just literally took a class this weekend on building an app in a weekend using Claude. But when you said Newline versus JSON, I grew up on JSON, so I wasn't familiar with Newline until I just asked ChatGPT while you were talking what Newline was in Claude. So when you're building in Claude, did you then have Claude convert it to JSON?
Yeah, so are you talking about when you're in Cloud Code?
Yeah.
Cloud Code converted to JSON. Yeah, so that's a fix like that would be that easy. Basically, saying, hey, models are struggling to output the right new line output, so please modify this prompt to instruct the LLM to output JSON is how I would tell Cloud Code to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Google, does Gemini have the same issue?
I think that it varies. I think that it's structured inputs can sometimes be better. Structured inputs can sometimes be better. I think it varies just with what you're trying to do, though. It's going to vary model to model. Behaviors always change. Yep.
Yeah.
I did want to say, too, that like if you all have ever tried building these multi-agent systems, current LLMs are actually very, very bad at it. They like to rely on like mappings, parsings, regex, all that. So that's kind of like one of the reasons I wanted to open source the orchestration, because it could really, if you just kind of throw that in Cloud Code, it could really get it off to the races. But
Yeah, so my question is regarding the orchestration. Did you like follow some inspirational research papers, or did you just come up with this prompt response template? Because it's very interesting. Different people use like different things like markdowns. A2A protocol is pretty famous. What is your motivation? Like, how did you come up with this? Yeah.
Yeah, it started with LangChain. I was just watching like Harrison Chase's, like one of his videos, and he had the whole thought, action, observation, response like framework, and that was Newline Delimited. That's where I got that from. And I just that was about a year and a half ago, and I just have been tweaking it ever since. And I think Anthropic also mentioned they spent like a year and a half tweaking, just because it can be very finicky. So it just kind of takes a lot. So it actually took me a while to decide if I wanted to open source it, but.
Any other questions? Yeah.
So you didn't use any frameworks. Obviously, you built your own observability platform, but also for the agents, it was just all raw Python and APIs.
Yes.
And your reason for that was that you felt like there was too much abstractions for the agent frameworks, that you didn't have the level of control that you wanted?
Yes. Yeah, for something, I guess, as new as this, I guess, domain of multi-agent systems and agentic engineering, I felt like because like best practices hadn't been evolved yet, it might as well start from scratch, and so you can really understand it. And then I guess something that I wasn't anticipating is the added flexibility and kind of cool things you can do as far as messing around with like where things are ordered in a system prompt, or passing strings as objects from agent to agent, stuff that I'm not sure you can do with an agent's SDK, but yet. So
cool. Yeah, and I wanted to ask on I too am reticent to use frameworks, although I have used a lot of the agent ones and found them to be pretty good. But yeah, I mean, if education's a component of it, like for sure, that seems like the play to do, because it's not that hard to spin these things up on your own with just API calls and stuff. And have more control. I was wondering if you considered for observability, there are like a lot of platforms for that, and you're familiar with the LangChain ecosystem. Did you consider something like LangSmith, or I was curious if like you were trying to have something that LangSmith didn't provide out of the box for seeing all the information about your agent runs?
I have not looked a ton into LangSmith, but
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, it's super easy to just spin up like exactly the UI you want to observe your runs, like you did. That was super cool. So, yeah, I mean, maybe these things are less relevant, but like, yeah, I know like a year ago, having something like LangSmith, you could just like wrap your agent runs, and it'll just show you like a neat nested all the things you might want to look into it. But you got a pretty sweet thing set up. Nice job.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Awesome. Let's give a round of applause. Yep. Any other speakers here? Yep.
I just had a question. So, it sounds like you two have done quite a bit of agent development, or at least started to dive into it. Are there any frameworks that you would explicitly avoid using, or have noticed have maybe antiquated design patterns? Like I know LangChain, as far as I know, that was one of the first frameworks that kind of came about. Is there a lot of bloat there, or do you think it's still worth looking into? And then same with something like LangGraph. I've heard that's a little bit newer. It looks pretty shiny and cool. Any thoughts for either of those?
Yeah, I mean, my answer to this, like my answer to most things, is it depends on your problem. Sure. LangChain is a more established ecosystem. It was a first mover. They're integrated into business and stuff, and it is a way bigger framework. They give you a lot more out of the box, but it is a bit more opinionated than something like one that I've been playing around with more recently that's kind of up and coming is Pydantic AI, which Pydantic's like all the rage in Python development these days, just making type-safe Python code, which is really great. And they have a really strong team. They built a framework that's a competitor to LangChain. And it's much lighter weight, but yeah, and just as extendable. But like, yeah, they don't have the observability that LangSmith provides out of the box. LangGraph is really great. So yeah, it kind of just depends on your problem, but they're worth, if you're trying to build an agentic system, I would encourage you to talk to our AI overlords about your specific problem and see what they recommend.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, it sounds like checking out LangGraph and then checking out Pydantic API or AI?
Pydantic AI.
Pydantic AI, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few others too. I mean, for what you're doing, you might just want the Gemini ADK or
Sure.
OpenAI SDK or whatever, so there's options.
Cool, thank you.
All right. Whoever is next.
Does this use sound too?
Yeah.
Cool. What are these ports?
Yeah. Are you demonstrating the custom voice agent?
What? This is Ava, the amazing virtual avatar.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. This is Ava, the amazing virtual avatar. So please tell a little bit about yourself and yeah, go on.
Wait, that's not. Hi, I'm Val. I'm the founder of CircleClick Labs. I guess my name on paper is Joel Ward, but everybody calls me Val. And I'm trying to figure out how to make this mirror the screen right, which...
You can do like is this a Windows laptop?
It's a Chromebook.
Okay.
It should be about the same. I could just do this. Anyway, that last guy, the slides and everything. I'm a mad scientist. I don't have any of that. So I'm just going to wing it. And there's got to be a way to do this. Okay, cool. All right. Anyway, I've got Ava, the amazing virtual avatar, and she is an avatar she's the front end. For the back end I wrote a pub subsystem. The back is agentic LLMs, all that fun stuff. On the top here, that's like a status bar. I've got a cloud server that runs an RTX 490. It uses Olama for all this stuff. Right now it's a simplified back end, and the whole middle part is written in Python. And here she is. This is a VRM file, or it started as a VRM file. It's actually got a physics model in it. Like, she's standing there, but she just blinked. Like, she's actually balancing. There's like on here, she's moving her fingertips. So it's a kind of thing, if you look at her, you can't really see it, but you feel like she's moving because
Great to meet you, Andrew. How can I assist you today? That sounds really cool. It seems like you're describing an advanced 3D model or avatar that has realistic physics and animations. These types of models are often used in virtual reality, gaming, or interactive applications. The fact that it responds to movements, like blinking when you move your fingertips, indicates a high level of detail and interactivity. If you have any specific questions about working with these models, or if there's something particular you'd like to know more about, feel free to ask. I'm here to help.
Okay, anyway, that was unplanned, but that was kind of cool. Let's see, why isn't this working? Let me reload. There's a lot of moving parts to this. Anyway, I've got also FBX motion files in there to where she can dance or do whatever, if she's bored. And I plan to build this all in with, into the LLM to work and like sense your mood and stuff, to where if you're bored, you just want to sit there, she'll be like, all right, I'll just text for a while and be quiet. Hey, Ava, what's 1 million divided by 7 plus 768? Okay, then. The longest part of this is actually not the LLM, it's actually the generation of the text to voice.
So, you have FBX motion files that you want to integrate into a system where a character can perform dances or other actions when she's idle or bored. You want this to be tied into a mood system so that her actions reflect her current state. Here's a step by... Great! I'm glad you're on board with this plan. Let's start breaking down the steps into actionable tasks.
Okay.
### task 1. Motion integration. *import FBX files ***. Use a library that supports FBX file import, such as Autodesk's FBX SDK or a Python library like *compatibility check ***. Ensure the import...
We're just going to reload here real quick. We can also switch out models. I didn't expect you to hear everything I'm saying. I thought it was going to go through the headphones, so this is a little bit weird, but it's still cool. We can change the models here. You can have a different character. This one is good if you just want to see the...
Chat about whatever you'd like. If you're feeling a bit self-conscious, just remember that I'm an AI and don't judge. What would you like to... I sure do. I can adjust my tone and personality to match what you're looking for. Here are a few examples. 1. Professional Ava ***.
So we can switch
Let's get down to
angry,
business.
surprised,
How can I assist you
sad,
today?
normal.
2.
Happy
Friendly
class.
Ava asterisk asterisk. My default.
Anyway, she's very chatty. You can see the personality is kind of built in there. Let's see what else we got. You can switch the mode between portrait and landscape. And this is...
You're absolutely right. I have a set of predefined personalities that I can switch between. I'm trying to figure out what to cook for dinner tonight.
Hey, can you tell me how to bake a cake in 5 lines? Alrighty then. I can see that it's trying to do something up here. I'm not sure if it's going to come back. Anyway, let's see, what else? So I've got this avatar. Anyway, I'm going to stop looking at the screen. So,
Sounds like you're starting a new topic. I'm here and ready when you are. So, you were saying you have an avatar? That sounds interesting. Is it for a game, a profile picture, or something else? I'd love to hear more about it.
I should just have you do the presentation.
Gotcha. So, you're giving a presentation and you've created an avatar for it? That's a fun and engaging idea. Here are a few questions to help me understand better. What is the topic of your presentation? Who is your target audience? What role does the...
So, anyway, so you can see her working. This is actually the first time I've shown her off in public, so it's pretty cool. I downloaded this image off, I don't even remember where. It was, I'm using VTuber technology. So my idea was I saw these VTubers who, you know, they're on YouTube and they got fake voices and avatars and everything. So I'm like, I'm going to make my AI do that. So that's where she came from. I downloaded her on some site. I made sure all the stuff was like copyright free and everything. I got the voice generated by, I think it's just Google GTTS. All this stuff's tied together in Python. The voice recognition, I use the voice browser stuff. She's rendered in 3JS to where there's no like weird libraries or anything. So this is all super low level. It's all Python, Ollama, JavaScript, 3JS. What else? I think that might be about it. Yeah. So yeah, this is my version 2. I'm about to work on version 3 because this I kind of feel like I coded myself in a corner. So I need to like restart everything with all the stuff I've learned from this. So I want to make her like into kind of an avatar you can like
to speech.
hang out with.
GTS. That's a great tool for generating voice.
So yeah, so I've got another model that I'm working that's less stable, that has like, you can see an equalizer and exactly what phase of she's going through and what she's thinking and like bubbles and everything, but I wanted this one to work. So I went with the old model. And I guess that's about it. This is Ava, the amazing virtual avatar.
This is awesome. Awesome presentation. Yeah, any questions?
Okay, so you're using, you're doing like making an API call to do the text to speech, or yeah.
Yeah, I've got the whole thing runs on a pub subsystem.
Okay.
Like I did high frequency trading back in a former life, so I'm
Cool.
like it's basically on a high speed trading network. So there's packets going back and forth between different agents. So the LLM is set up as an agent, and it's like an orchestrator. And then it's got tool calling to do math and stuff, and do web lookups. And in the other models, like it can, do subparsing and have other LLMs that have personality in different models. And then there's another agent that it comes back with the orchestrator. When it comes back, then it sends it to a voice agent, and that's the thing that generates a file. And then it comes back and says, here's the file name, and then that feeds it back to the original web request, and then it goes and makes the connection and plays it that way.
Okay, cool. So you have like a main orchestrator that has a bunch of tools that returns presumably like the next step, like a voice agent. Is it like a deterministic pipeline of things that run every time you say something to her?
If the LLM was deterministic, it would be deterministic.
Or yeah, I mean, like the same sequence of steps. The output's not deterministic, but like it's always the orchestrator makes some kind of tool call, and then are there a variable number of tool calls each time?
Well, the deterministic part is, it sends out a request, it gets a response, and then it delivers it to the user. Well, gets a request, gets a response, determines whether the user wanted to. If the original response requests voice, then it goes and makes a voice call, comes back, delivers the URL. So the client's sitting there saying, like, here's a request, and then it's like, okay, you've got a request, and then it says, oh, you've got a voice or a response. Now you've got a voice response, and then you can go do a HTTP call to download the voice or play it.
Yeah.
So it streams it in real time, and I'm going to set it up to where the LLM, when the voice comes back, it'll actually stream that as well. So when it starts, when the text comes, as soon as it gets a big chunk, it'll start parsing out his voice.
Talking,
so
yeah.
It'll get the turnaround time a bit faster.
Right. So right now, part of the lag is just you're waiting for the full response, and then you're sending that to the text-to-speech API, and then getting a whole blob back and waiting till you get that to start playing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Most of the time, unless you say something complex, it's like an RTX 5090. So it comes back in a few seconds, and then it says generate the sound, and that takes a while.
Yeah. Cool. Nice job, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just curious, are you using Ollama for the text-to-speech model as well? Or what does Ollama host?
Ollama is the LLM stuff.
Okay.
And the text-to-speech, that's GTTS.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Where do you host that from? Where do you get that?
That is, I'm just using whatever the public APIs are.
Oh, gosh.
Like I think it just the public stuff. Like I think if I want to get like super custom, I don't know if I want to do it myself or just might use like 11 Labs or something to get like a really nice voice. Yeah. I found out some crazy stuff with the voice stuff when I was generating. Like it turns out if you like pay for voices, there's like some standard off the shelf stuff. Probably half the podcasts you've ever listened to are generated. And you didn't know it. Like I heard these voices, I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard these guys before on so many podcasts.
Nice.
People are selling their voices now as well. It's like an expiry as well. So you can like upload your voice and then just make money from it.
Well, see, I think you could. I mean, that's a good model.
Yeah. Speaking of voices in 11 Labs, we have a hackathon sponsored by them on December 11th. So please tune in.
So I didn't get to see the entire presentation. I came in a little bit late, but I am attempting to build something similar for, I would assume, different purposes. Like I said, I've only seen the back half of this. What does this look like? Theoretically speaking, could you turn this process and this avatar and export it onto a website? What does that look like?
Well, this is a website. I mean, that's what we're seeing. It's all JavaScript. It doesn't have any weird. I mean, it's all JavaScript. The only weird stuff I use is 3JS for the model. So it's all pretty much out of the box. So yeah, the idea is you could put it on a website. Like the background here, says hey, she checks phone while standing. Like it says this stuff. Like the idea is that will eventually be it could be like a programming assistant. My original plan, which I think is probably other people are doing this now, is to basically make her like a CMO. She's also got a tool where I could say tweet something about Christmas on December 24th. And there's an API call, and she'll put something in not tweet it directly, but there's a calendar function I've got that's kind of like a Google Calendar thing that you could stick stuff on, and there's meetings and events. And events are things like tweet something, post something on Reddit, stuff like that. It's meant to be a framework for that kind of stuff.
So I'm building this for the purpose, or attempting to, once again. You have gotten a lot farther than I have, for the purpose of e-commerce in specific, essentially on-site representatives to act agentically and assist customers. Is that essentially what you're explaining the process to look like for, say, somebody interacts with it to ask it a question outside of posting a tweet or something like that?
I guess kind of the use case that I was working for is more of an assistant, not for the customer but for yourself. But you could easily repurpose her for that. Maybe different outfit, but and you could put this canvas in the corner and to have like a pop-up window, and she could be like clippy but way less annoying, and
Yeah.
so you could just be like like say she's hanging out here, you're not saying anything, she's just gonna play on her phone whatever until you say, hey, wake up. And you could actually say things like, there's actually 2 voice modes. There's let's see if this works. Ava, go to sleep now. Ava, go to sleep now. Ava, go to sleep now. Ava, wake up now. Okay, I thought she'd say something here, but you can see with the blue boxes, basically there's a if you say her name and end with now, it's more like a wake word that's processing the browser to where you can make her do things. To where that's like a so if you say, Ava, do this now, there's like a command layer you can talk to the browser that could do like cool things. But otherwise it just forwards it to the LLM.
Okay. Awesome.
So in short, yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining the use case. I was thinking that she was possibly going to be an AI girlfriend or an AI celebrity. That was it.
Well, the one thing I found kind of disappointing was when I first got this going, like my first version was just a stick figure to see if I could get I was like, I think if I just got a stick figure and you got, my main thing was the lip sync. I'm like, the lip sync is going to make it real. That's going to make it feel real. So I had like a stick figure that had like a circle that went in and out. So I got that going in a week, and I was like, okay, that's proof of concept's cool. Now I want to make a whole 3D model, and that'll take another week. Turns out it took 2 months. But at the end of it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Nobody's ever done this before. And then Elon came out with his Annie thing, and I was like, you have cheapened my whole profession. But anyway, so that sucked. But anyway, this is you could do that.
Well, one more question. Back because I'm trying to do something similar. What did you use? Like I said, I missed a large portion of it. What did you use for the 3D modeling aspect of it?
It's I think it's a VRM file.
VRML or VRM?
Hold on, let me look.
I just noted that because I'm having a couple issues with some blenders and stuff like that.
Yep, it's a VRM file, and for the dancing, you use FBX files.
Okay. Are there any other speakers? Okay, cool. Yeah. Once again, give a round of applause. Thank you very much. It's a very awesome presentation.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
This is a demo about legislative intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, as you said, I've called this GovPal. So you ever wonder what the hell the government's doing?
Before we get into the demo, can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's important. So my name's Michael Saman. I'm a platform AI engineer at NRG Energy. They're a Houston-based energy retail company. Yeah, I do this on the side. Obviously, this is not related to NRG. This is just something passion project of mine that I want to open source this. I want to make this free to the people because I think, we can hold our government more accountable, and I think there's a lot to hold accountable these days. So this is my solution to that. Is I call this GovPal, and I said, wouldn't it be nice to get some unbiased analysis and monitoring of all the new bills that are coming out at a state and federal level. And so what you're looking at here is a lovable generated marketing page, because that's the best way to sell anything these days. So actually what I did to start this project is I just with a couple free credits of Lovable, I didn't pay anything for this. I said, here's my high-level idea. And then in Lovable, you can still do this. I think they're going to take this away soon. We'll see. But you can still rip all the code that Lovable gives you and then use that as your template for your front end, right? Like, I find this works way better for developing front ends if you just start from like a really solid template, because then the agents these days are smart enough to work off of whatever templates you give them. So even if you don't use Lovable, like you could go find anything online that's like a free Next.js template, free React admin dashboard template, whatever it is, and you can get off the ground really quickly with a nice front end. So anyway, so I took this splash page, took all the components and the UI components from this, and I started my project. So let me go through like what it actually is before I go into the code actually. So this is the actual project. So here I've got a couple tabs here. So first there's this recent legislation tab. This is all public data, right? There's this service called Legiscan, and they just offer all this for free. You can, they have a really solid API for downloading things in bulk. So you can bulk download legislation for a state or the federal level for any year. And you can also do incremental API calls to get daily updates. So using this free API service, I bulk ingested just for now Texas and the federal government. So that's what you're seeing here. So this is the recent legislation. Obviously the federal government, they're a lot more active than Texas is. So you're seeing here, these are all the bills as of yesterday that have been coming out of our US Congress. So you can see there's a lot of these you'll find, like I think the US Congress, they came out with 30,000 pieces of legislation this year, but only 36 of those actually passed. So it's quite interesting, like there's a lot of political messaging. I found that actually. There's a lot of political messaging just introducing bills that are just dead on arrival. So anyways, so you get that recent tab, and then I also have the search tab here. So this is connected to a RAG database of all these bills, right? So essentially, I'm doing that bulk ingest of legislation, and outcomes, I get the text URL for that legislation, and then I go and I run a chunking process. So I chunk it, I create embeddings from it, put in a database, and now I'm doing a hybrid search here. So we can just describe anything you want here. We can say school phone ban, and that should bring up a Texas bill that recently went in effect. So if we do school phone ban, you can see status passed. This is for DC. Okay, here's the Texas one I was thinking of. Relating to school district and open enrollment charter school policies, right? So the idea here is you can describe whatever you want in your plain text language, and it's going to search the full text. It does both searches. It does it does a full text search and a semantic search of all the bill text that it's ingested. So you can also chat with it. So you click on this chat button. So I've had an existing conversation with it. Yep. Yeah, with the single bill. No. I just reload it. Nope. Sorry. Let's do a more interesting one. That one broke. So the Big Beautiful Bill, interestingly enough, they renamed it. It's not called the Big Beautiful Bill anymore. It's now called FEHB Protection Act of 2025, which is interesting. I had a hard time finding it because they renamed it. So immediately you can start asking questions. What's the key points of this bill? So then it'll go through, and every single time you send this message, what happens in the back end is I do a RAG search on the user message. It returns the top 20 chunks, injects that into the context of the assistant or the agent here, and then it gives the response from there, right? So it correctly points out it's about student loans, unemployment, whole ton of stuff, right? And then over here, you can go to the state link. So if you wanted to. You could check out the actual build text yourself. So, obviously you can ask whatever questions you want. You can say, how does this affect one-handed type? So it's going to go through, it's going to look up chunks related to startups. All right. Expansion on qualified small business stock gain exclusion. Like, okay, that's good to know. Cool. All right, so you can ask all your questions you want about this really giant bill. You can see this is what we're dealing with. You can see why it's so big and beautiful, right? So there's that chat feature. And then there's also an alert feature where you can go in here and say like you want to get an email about any legislation related tariffs, right? So the idea here is you type in a text description, right? This could be like legislation about tariffs and executive powers, right? And then what will happen is I have this daily job that runs, looks for bills that have semantic matches or semantically similar to your text description here that you put in this alert. And then it gives out this email format. I'll make this, blow it up here. So these are it says legislative alert tariffs because it found 8 bills that are semantically similar to your text description, that alert. So pick the top one here, the most similar, No Taxation Without Representation Act 2025. Bill to require approval of Congress, President to impose duties on importation of articles. So Congress trying to limit President powers there. So you can see all the bills here. If you're interested in one, you click one, right? It's got the text URL. Okay, so that was the crash course in what it does. Any questions before I continue here? Cool. So this is how the ingestion works, right? This is all built in GCP, not Google guy. So the cloud scheduler, every day, it runs this bill metadata ingest job. Sorry. And all this does is it makes a request to Legiscan, gets the news metadata about the bill, so it'll get, I'll show you, I'm using Supabase here. So here's the bill metadata that it pulls from Legiscan, right? So it pulls like the jurisdiction, the status, description of the bill, its title, bill number, everything about it, right? And then it publishes a message to a queue or to a pub sub saying, hey, there's a new bill text in the system. And then that pub sub makes a request to another Cloud Run service that I'm calling the bill text ingest. And all that does is pull in it makes a request to scrape the text URL. So each one of these bills includes the text URL here. So it's a PDF URL, right? So that process, all it does is it makes a request, downloads the PDF, chunks it, makes embeddings, puts it in the vector database. So now that's over here, right? So I got this build chunks table. So you can see this build chunks. It has the chunk text. It has the embedding. It's got the full text search vector. So this is a feature of Postgres. You can do full text search as well as embedding or vector search in Postgres. And then off you go. So that's ingest. And then for alerts, what happens? First, like you saw, the user creates an alert inside that web interface, and I have a fast API that's serving this web interface. The web interface is React. The React app is calling a Cloud Run, which serves a fast API app. If that makes sense. Yeah, exactly what it shows here. So it makes a post request, creates the alert, and then daily, Cloud Run job runs. It does a hybrid search, and so these are configurable weights. You can do, if you're interested in more semantic, then you put, put more semantic results over full text search results. It then gets those matches. If there's any matches, then send the email. And then, yeah, RAG, as I explained, every time a user sends a message, there's a SSE, server sent events. They get sent back to the UI, so that's how you're able to see it stream. And yeah. So the code here, none of it I wrote. So this is all, I use something called SpecKit, which is game changer. I highly recommend SpecKit. If you haven't tried it, definitely give it a go. I don't have the tab open right now, but basically with SpecKit, I found like you have to spend a lot of time really nailing down the high-level plan. And after you get this plan down, then everything else just flows in there. But SpecKit does that process really well. It's a way to, they kind of make a really good workflow that kind of guides you into getting all your specs in place for a really good experience. And then from there, I have a backend folder, which has all the backend jobs and the API defined. And then the front end contains the React app that serves this UI you see here. Right. Yeah, right. That's basically it.
That's a great presentation. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for sharing. That's so cool. Can I ask about the search feature? How did you, so once you've reading all the, like the data and you converted embeddings, how did you run the search, the hybrid search thing?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I'll show you the SQL query. It's one giant nasty SQL query. So. Is it fast? It's fast. Yeah, it's fast. I mean, you tell me if it's fast, It's fast. So the SQL query, what it does is it's a combination of, I want to see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, here it is. Can you see that? Is that too tiny? There you go. So this is the SQL query. With a semantic search, I'm selecting all these different fields. And then this is the Postgres syntax. I'm doing the cosine similarity. So this is a cosine similarity operator inside of pgvector. So I'm taking the embedding of the build chunk, comparing that with the passed in the user's vector, right? So that's what that $1 is. That gets replaced with the user's embedded query. And then it takes that and it also combines the text search. So this is more, I'm doing the full text search vector and comparing that with the user's description or query as well. And then it returns all the chunks from there. Yeah, that's how you get the bills back. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
SpecKit, how do you spell that?
SPECKIT.
Okay. And then in terms of all of that information that you're pulling off, is that via RSS or are you data scraping all of it? And if so, what are you using to data scrape?
Yeah, so Legiscan, they have this API, so I'm scraping from their API, and I'm using this library called, I think I'm using just their Python request library. So the Python request library, you say, request.get, then you make a get call. So yeah.
Okay.
If you're not familiar with APIs, I'd definitely check it out. And like I said, they have a free one that you can pull a ton of data from. So that's very nice of them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I I saw you're using the cosine similarity.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered using the dot product similarity? Like it's less than pound greater than?
Yeah.
It's faster, and all you have to do is normalize the vectors when you save them.
That's true. I think I definitely could have. I think I went with that just because that's what it gave me when I first did it. When I vibe coded it. So that's what I used. Yeah. But I think what you're saying could, I think at a certain point, I'm going to have to think a lot more about scaling. Because right now, if you look at this database, there's 194,000 chunks of bills in this database already. And I've only pulled in Texas and Congress for 2025. So if I were to pull in the rest of the 49 states, this thing will probably get over a million in chunks. So I definitely have to think about stuff like that to make it faster. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. So, I mean, this is the quintessential definition of a ChatGPT wrapper, right? Like, why can't ChatGPT do this? Yeah.
Yeah, ChatGPT could. You could literally go into ChatGPT right now, and I think you could paste the URL into ChatGPT, like to the text URL, right? And then get it out. I think the really main differentiator here is this alerts thing, where it does like the proactive search on your part. Well, it'll do this semantic search, say, hey, like this matches whatever you're interested in. Check it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the search as well, I suppose. Yeah, but I mean, to your point with the chat feature, yeah, you could totally do that. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You need some kind of technology to simplify. Like, here's my views, here's what I care about. When the bill comes out, tell me what parts of it are touching the things that I care about.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, even Congress, they're voting on things that they just cannot fathomably read.
I know that's.
It might be like a valid service for them to be leveraging. Just to get an idea, like, why am I signing this thing?
Yeah, when I first saw this, I knew it's all BS. It's all fake. Like, Congress is a sham. Because there's no way every single one of the congressmen is reading this bill. Like, this thing is massive. I could scroll forever, and it still goes, right? Like, yeah.
It'd even be interesting to capture, because again, and all these things become a differentiator. Sure. All these things become a differentiator between you and just ChatGPT. It'd be awesome if you can have in every district, right? You have different types of people, right? There's like the inner city people. There's people who are farmers. There's folks who are tech, who are homeowners. There's people who are renting. So you have every single kind of demographic captured, and you give it a rating. Like, hey, for me, this is how good this bill is, right? If I'm a homeowner, I probably don't want to have a Prop Q coming out 20% increase. On the flip side, if I'm a renter, I kind of want that. Right, so whatever your persona is, your archetype is, if you can have some kind of representation there, and then as a politician, I might come to this site and be like, all right, new legislation's come out, I got hours to vote on it. How pissed are my different people going to be, my different constituents, just based on this kind of analysis? I think there's a lot of fun things you could do here.
Yeah.
Even if it was just sending tweets out, it's like, hey, this legislation just hit the floor. Here's what it really means. So then you have to hear about it on the news where they're complaining, oh, I didn't read that in the bill. I signed into law, and I didn't even know that was a situation. It removes that excuse because they're going to have tweets going at them like, hey, this thing that you said, you're going to go against it if you vote for or against this bill.
That's a great point. I mean, that's the other cool thing about this is it's unbiased, right? Like if you want to go read analysis on a bill, everyone's got an agenda, right? Whereas if you were to automate all that, there's no bias behind this thing. At worst, it's just it misses a chunk or gives some misinformation just because it didn't read the bill correctly. But that's a lot better than what other places are doing, I think, in my opinion.
What is your intent with this? Are you going to run with it? Is this like a learning project? What's your goal?
I don't know. I just want to give this to the people and see what they do with it. So I want to open source this. Like you can see, it's got a URL. So if you want to use it and give me some feedback, connect with me afterwards. I'll get you signed up, and it's out there. People can sign up and use it. So, yeah.
And your code, or how much of this is like purely prompt-based coded versus you having to like hand tune?
100% not me.
100% not you.
Yeah, I don't code anymore.
So it would almost be like, take it a step further and make it so that people can submit prompt-based patches almost,
yeah.
right? So it can grow on its own.
That'd be.
I think this is a really cool idea. Whatever I can do to support you to run with this a little bit further, if it takes a couple dollars just to inspire you to keep doing it, I think it's a cool concept. I think you can pivot and not, I don't see like a monetization out of it, but just as a public service.
Yeah, no, I mean, because for myself, I wish I had a tool like this, and that's why I made it in the first place. So yeah, thank you. We can connect afterwards. So
sounds good.
That's amazing support. Yeah, more questions.
Go ahead.
I always feel most of the bills are there is some business incentives there, right? So they are actually doing this to make money. Is there any way to reverse engineer this back? Like, okay, this is the politician. This exists already, but this is the politician that's investing in this company. This bill has these kind of initiatives that's getting ready. They will have this kind of funding for like small business loans or something. So turn any bill into like what kind of businesses it will affect and what kind of loan opportunities or business opportunities it can offer.
I think technically everything we need to do that is there. I think that's very technically possible because we've got LLMs that have Google search tools. We have LLMs that can go out and analyze these giant bills. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely possible to do.
So last question. Yeah.
Hi, just one last question. You said that you built this entirely using, I'm assuming, Claude Code, right? I've also recently discovered I've been doing that without having to write I still check it. It's more like architecture and Lambda and stuff like that. Right. What's your opinion? This is an open question to everyone here. What's your opinion on, like, at what point are we not going to need to do a lot of hand coding for application level apps? And can you actually just build apps like CRMs that allow you to prompt for a feature? Like, for example, if you use Retool right now today, like that's that, app that makes CRUD apps, people will still have to sit there and wrestle with it to get it working. But can you just talk to it so that like changes can be made on your behalf? Anyway, I thought I'd ask you that question. Anyone else here as well?
I think as time goes on, we're going to see it's going to be more and more valuable that people understand how software architecture works versus just how syntax works, right? Like, I think architecture organization is going to be a lot more valuable over time because, like guys who work on building architecture, they don't spend the time actually going out there, putting the beams together, making cement, like, that's all automated for them as far as they're concerned, right? They're just thinking about like, oh, how will this structure hold up under this weight? So I think the same sort of thing is going to happen where I think humans will still be needed for that for, I think, foreseeable future. I don't know. It might be automated. It probably will. What am I saying? Yeah.
I have a more pessimistic take on this as well, where like top 1% of the engineers who are already pretty good at like architecture, using AI tools, system design, they'll probably be paid a lot more, and they'll probably have a lot of like value in a lot of the companies. But the average engineer is gonna be automated. Yeah,
I think it is, in my opinion, already. I think we're already there. Like,
yeah.
Like I said, like this came together after I just need to figure out all the data flow, right? Like, I don't know. If you only know syntax, I don't think you would have known to make a pub sub that would go out and connect to Supabase and make the SQL query. Like, there's a ton of stuff that, I'm getting off track, but right.
Any others want to share their opinion?
I agree with your side. I think it'll be like sports. Anybody can play, but few people get paid, and they get paid extremely well. And like you're seeing some of that now, like the super intelligence team at Meta, these like 9-figure compensation packages is just insane, right? Like you're seeing the early, early signs of that. I also like to look at when it was like, what, 98, Kasparov got beat in chess by Deep Blue. And then for a period of like 12 years, it was man plus machine was better than machine. And then it became about even keel. That was last another 10 years. And now it doesn't matter how many men you throw it. It's just a waste of, it's noise, right? Like the machine is the best by far, hands down, no comparison. So will it take that long for us to get to that point? Probably not. Things are accelerating faster now, but we're definitely in the centaur phase right now, where it's like man plus machine is better. You're able to wield it. I guess another comment would be, because some people are skeptical about all this. I'm like, well, when the first compiler came out, right, converting high-level language to low-level code, like that probably seemed like magic. And what we're building now is just a really high-level language. Like it may reach the point where if your prompting is sufficient, you really know how to describe a product and how it's going to be architected, or even leave the architecture out because that changes. You describe what you want in very like high specificity, then whatever the latest technology stack is, we'll just produce that next iteration. Like I'll launch a company today, change my documents over time, and then like we need a full stack refresh V2, we can just build it out again. I just think it'll take some time, but we're definitely going to cross that path.
Yeah, but we are not there yet, so keep building, keep learning.
On a positive note, like the dawn of, on a positive note, like we're on the dawn of like the solopreneur, right? I don't know how long it'll take, but you will see your first like single man company billionaire, maybe even single man company a trillionaire. So on the one hand, while doors are closing in the job market, I do see there being an explosion of just one-man band startups, partially because they won't be able to find a job, but they have skill set and time, and they'll put towards some passion, and some percentage of those will make it. They'll float up and bubble up. So I think we'll see an explosion of solopreneurship as well soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Give one more round of applause. Do we have any other speakers today? If not, please grab more pizza. And the floor is open for networking. Yeah.
Parking validation?
Yeah, please come see me. I have some coupons for validation. And I just want to tell a little bit of, just a few words about myself. My day job, I'm a senior machine learning engineer who works on self-driving perception models for Daimler Group, Mercedes-Benz, semi-trucks. I work for a company called Torque Robotics. We are a subsidiary of Daimler Mercedes-Benz. And this is what I do. I organize meetups as a hobby and to just encourage networks and community. And I also organize hackathons. And I'm planning a hackathon for December 11th. It's sponsored by 11 Labs. It's mainly focused on building with voice agents. So watch out for that. If you're not subscribed, go to aitinkers.org, subscribe to Austin newsletter, and you'll hear all about our events, all about our meetups, hackathons, things like that. And there will be a large nationwide hackathon that we're planning next year as well. So lots of cool stuff. Any questions? Anything? Yeah. Awesome. Feel free to network, grab more pizza, and if anything is left over, please feel free to take it home as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome stuff, man.
It was definitely alive. Maybe they could do like an avatar.
This idea of a YouTube show, and what I found was I said, so I got and found out that that's apart.
Yeah, interesting.
Specifically with my e-commerce website, so you might, I want to proactive with the voice agent capabilities on the website to let's say, I need your help.
Yeah, so that was just like. I mean, I have this idea about fluidity of the content. So rather than this is a video, or this is a feature, this is a print something. With the avatar, you can have both. It's like real time, right? Oh no, kids die. Kids are born and happy and sad. So that's my piece. Like 7 It's like I'm not around. I kind of like